love, what's up? Welcome to Confidently Uncomfortable. I'm your host, Jago, health and lifestyle coach and not so regal confidence queen. Coming at you with the real, the raw, and of course, the uncomfortable. My mission is to show you that to be confident, it has absolutely nothing to do with being perfect or having it all together, and everything to do with you getting uncomfortable and pushing your limits. Thanks for joining me. Let's dive in. I don't know about y'all, but I am so excited for springtime. So this episode was definitely inspired by growth and rebirth. So I'm looking forward to you learning so much out of it. And I'm just also so excited because this month I am launching my signature Body Confident Blueprint program. So I only offer this 3 to 4 times a year where I open up and allow applications for my signature program. It's a 12-week group coaching program where you're getting help and support with the lifestyle changes that you want to make, whether it's losing weight or refocusing on your routine or all of the above. I am here to help you, give you support. And not only are you getting support from me, but I put you in small groups based on what your goals are. And I'm so excited for the girls. I already have some pre-launch signed girls coming up. So it's going to be a really awesome round. And I'm opening to the public March 16th. So if you're listening to this on the launch day, then you need to jump into the show notes, click on the application link and apply today to see if BCB is right for you. After the application gets accepted, we'll hop on a discovery call, talk about the program, answer all of your questions, and make sure it's a really good fit. I seriously only take on a limited number of girls because I want to fully pour into these people over the next 12 weeks. And I also want to make sure that you're in a good place for this. So just apply if you're even thinking about it, and we can get on a discovery call and talk more. But I'm so pumped about it. I just couldn't wait. And so I can talk more about it at the end of the episode if you'd like. Otherwise, go ahead and click the show notes and apply, multitask while you're listening to this episode. Cannot wait to jump into this. So get ready. It's a big, long metaphor, but I have a full point to it. It comes around fully, very nicely, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Okay, springtime brings a lot of really good things. For me, sometimes it does bring allergies. So I'm sipping on tea. Yeah, keep that slurping. And while you're hanging out with me, while I'm drinking tea, we're going to talk about growth. And I'm talking about growth within yourself and wanting to create changes in your life. I think springtime is a really good time to talk about this. It's a really great time to refocus and identify your goals and to set real intentions around this. I think it's really easy for us to want change, right? But the change that we want is almost like we're saying it and it's just flying away into midair. Whereas what we want to do is we want to say these changes and we want to plant seeds into the ground, into our soil, and really cultivate that growth over a long period of time. And so, yes, I'm going to be creating a whole metaphor with this. I just got so pumped about it that I was like, I want people to see this. So we're talking about just planting that tree that bears the fruit that you want out of your life. So I want you to think visually, literally close your eyes unless you're driving, and think about this tree that you're planting in your life. And so what kind of fruit is it bearing? Is it an orange tree? Is it an apple tree? Is it a pear tree? I could go on, let's say avocado tree. Whatever it is, I want you to think about that and that fruit that's coming out of it. And the truth is, we see that fruit, right? We see everything that's coming out, all the amazing things that you're able to get from that tree. But we don't see the roots that are holding that tree down, that are grounding that tree, that are giving that tree the nourishment and the nutrients it needs to thrive. And that is so much like our life and with success. So often we're seeing other people's fruit, we're seeing other people's success. And instead of taking it in and thinking like, oh, I'm sure they're grounded in what they're doing and they have deep rooted, we're only focused on that fruit. And we're like, how can I get to that fruit? I don't understand why my tree doesn't have fruit yet. I'm so frustrated. Do you like the metaphor yet? Or are you sick of it? Just roll with me here. Feeling that way is really what's keeping you and holding you back, as we're so worried about this other tree and how thriving it is that we're not getting grounded in our own life and in our own soil so that we can take root and really start to grow and thrive in our own lives. And so I'm going to really talk to you today about planting seeds in your subconscious to grow and take root, to start to really form that tree that you're looking for, and then ultimately bear that fruit that you want out of your life, which is the ultimate, like your highest self essentially, is when you're bearing that fruit and you're constantly shining and thriving in everything that you do. That is that goal. So when you think of that goal, think of that tree. We'll come back to that analogy. So if you've been wanting to grow, Like I said, comparison is going to just keep you where you're consistently not bearing fruit. You're consistently breaking down and you feel like you're having to start over again and again and again and replant something new. But the truth is, maybe it's not about something new, it's about how these changes are being planted. And what I mean by that is sometimes I have clients who come to me and they've been doing like a lot of the things. Like they're like, I work out all the time, or I feel like I'm eating healthy, and I feel like I'm doing all the things. Even my mindset I've been really working on, but something still isn't clicking. And the truth is, we're throwing these seeds out, but they're not falling into a soil that has been nurturing to you, that's been supportive to that growth that you want. So I'm going to break down that soil and talk about what that means for you so you can audit your own life in this way and start to tend to your own soil. Yeah, I'm going with analogy. I'm just going all in with it. So I hope you're ready. So if you're wanting to grow, auditing your environment is a really good start. I talked about you're throwing those seeds down without really thinking about where they're landing, right? We need to slow our roll, and instead of trying to throw new things at stuff, let's first audit where you're at. So what I mean by auditing your life or auditing your environment is let's breaking it down. What are you currently doing in your life, and is that supporting the life you want to live? Is that supporting your highest best self? And a lot of times it's not. A lot of times we're running around and we're doing so many things for other people, and we are putting ourselves last. And if we're putting ourselves last, by the time we're trying to plant ourselves in something, we're not going to be steady enough to stick into it and stay. So start by auditing your life and your habits and what you're doing. Another thing I want you to audit is what you consume. So what you're taking in. And I had a masterclass last week, and I talk about this with my clients a lot, is it's really important to create more than we consume. And whether you're listening to this as like a business coach, or you have a business where you are creating things, or you're just you're trying to create things in your life, it's really important to audit what you're consuming, what you're taking in, and then make sure, am I creating more than I'm consuming? Because so often we're taking in all the things and we're trying to learn everything, but then we're not actually taking action. And that's because we hold ourselves back in this analysis paralysis where we're like taking in all the things and we get overwhelmed with where to start. And so instead of just starting to create some of these changes in our lives, we're just think, oh, I need to consume more. But really, we need to start really implementing these things into our life. And I'll talk more about what that looks like later. Just follow along with me on this audit for a bit. So when it comes to auditing your environment, coming back to that, who are we surrounding ourselves with? If we're trying to get planted and grounded in these new changes, we're trying to plant these seeds, but again, we're surrounded by other people that are honestly toxic, or they're not the best influences on us. And that is what's keeping us and uprooting us again and again and again as we're trying to start something. And then these friends that don't actually have our best intentions at heart are pulling us away from that. Or people are constantly vying for your attention and your energy, so you have nothing left for you. And whether it's with ill intentions or even not ill intentions, it can still be harmful to your own growth. And so recognizing that and setting your own boundaries is going to be huge for that as well. I have a whole episode on boundaries that I will definitely make sure that I share with you. And I also have a whole episode on intention and being intentional. The episode is called The Power of Intention and to Stop Being a Robot. So that's something where if you feel like you've been rushing around and doing all the things without feeling grounded in who you are and what you're doing, that might be time to slow down and start doing things with intention and asking yourself, why am I doing these things? Is this actually helping me? So that's where that audit of your life can be very powerful. I talked about auditing what you consume. I've done a whole episode on this in the past. And so just a reminder of what are you taking in? I think during COVID times, which is when this is, it's a year. Oh my gosh, it's been a year since March, since I had no idea the world was about to change, and you probably didn't either. I'm recording this in March of 2021, and whew, I don't know about you, but I really needed to check myself on how much I was consuming. Our screen time, man, was going up. I was on my phone. I was consuming more news than ever before. I do think it's important to stay informed, but I also think sometimes it can be counterproductive to us if we're only consuming things and we're not actually trying to see how can I implement this into my life? Or is this something I even need to be consuming? And then finally, the last thing I want you to audit is your self-talk and how we're speaking to ourselves. And I've talked about your inner mean girl and how a lot of times, even if we're not saying things that are negative towards ourselves, we may be thinking them. And this takes time to heal and work towards, but just recognizing and catching yourself in a way of like, oh, I should not speak that way about myself can be a really powerful way to continue to speak more positively about yourself and pour that positivity into your life, which is going to really help with that soil, like I said, when you are trying to plant yourself. Let's talk about rebirth. So when it comes to springtime, change is a beautiful thing. And I think sometimes with that change, there's so much we need to release, right? There might be some things that you've been holding on to this past year or even the past few months that you know you need to release in order to redefine who you are and plant those seeds in a way that it is going to continue to take root and help you feel grounded and eventually create that growth and the fruit that you're looking for in your life. Now, these seeds do not have to be this complicated thing. They don't have to be this overwhelming, like 360 or 180, whatever, where you completely change who you are and everything that you do. And you have to say, all right, I can't watch any TV and I can't eat any sweets and I can't go out and I can't do this and I can't do that and blah, blah, blah. I hate the word can't. Like, it's literally the worst. But I also don't like when you're taking an approach, it's really easy for us to get consumed by all or nothing. And I've talked about this before, where we think, okay, if I want to make change, I need to completely alter who I am. And that's just not true. Because if you do that, it's not sustainable. Or even if you do get there, you're not going to be able to recognize yourself at the end of the day. And that is really, really hard. I've worked with a lot of clients who have lost the weight or they have made the changes that they felt like they were supposed to do, but they weren't rooted in their own values. They weren't rooted in what they truly wanted for themselves. And so again, even though they were making changes and maybe to others it looked like it was a beautiful tree, in reality it was not rooted in good soil. It was not rooted in good intentions and for themselves. It was really doing it for others. And that is still ultimately a tree that is going to break down and not continue to thrive. And so I've dealt with a lot of clients who come to me after the fact, and I want to start with you before you get to that point so that we can recognize, hey, it's all about planting these small seeds. And what I mean by those small seeds are just small changes that you want to start making in your life. And it's all about small changes full of big intention. So not just doing these little things because you feel like you're supposed to. I'm supposed to eat more vegetables. I'm supposed to drink my water. But like, ask yourself why. Like, why does that matter to you? Because if you don't have a why that actually grounds you in those intentions, again, it's going to just be a flimsy tree and it's going to fall over. And I want you to be so grounded and so rooted deeply in who you are and who you're becoming that you become unshakable, that winds and other people can try and push you around and you are not going to falter because you know who you are. And that's a beautiful place to be, let me tell you. I'm on the other end of it, and I am so happy to be here, but it's been a long journey and a lot of seeds thrown on soil that were not worth throwing, and I want you guys to start with a strong foundation. And so, how do we create this growth? We need to have strong roots. We need to identify what you want. So it's totally fine if you want to figure out what does my fruit look like? What does my highest self look like? It is great to have a vision for the life that you want to work towards. And I honestly do believe that it's necessary to have that big picture, but it is so important. And this is where most people stop, is just they have the big dream and then they stop. But it's really important to think big and then break it down. So that's where we can really almost work backwards or reverse engineer what it is that you're looking to accomplish. And so think about it like if you figure out the fruit that you want to bear, so the highest self, the ultimate goals, those big things that you really want to reach out and grab, what are those things? Now, how can we create a foundation that supports that growth, that supports the success that you want in your life? And so figuring out how to get more grounded in who you are is a really good first step. And so auditing your life, like I said, make sure you do that. seeing your environment and how you can start to shift that. And it might not even just be people, it just might be the environment of your work or your home environment. Maybe you've been getting really bogged down because there's no separation between work and home life because you're working from home. Well, guess what? Maybe we need to change our environment. Maybe we need to make sure that we are keeping work in a separate area of the house, and we are able to separate that and really decompress when we do step out of that work day. And so that's where boundaries can really help, making sure that we do that. The other thing is with the small seeds and working backwards is discovering what are those small things that can really add up. So if I want to, I'll use weight loss. If you say that you want to lose weight, really try and find that why. So like I said, get rooted in what that why is. Why do you want that change? How will it impact you? What does that highest self look like? If weight loss is one of the branches, is what piece of what you want, there's more to the tree. There's more to the picture there. And so I want you to get the bigger picture, and then we can break it down and say, okay, well, what are these small goals that are going to support that highest self, that most confident self that you are creating? And then breaking it down further towards the roots of like, okay, what are some habits? What are some mindset shifts that I know I need to implement or even change that will help me stay rooted in these goals and continue to grow and continue to thrive? And so breaking that down can be really helpful. Like, okay, so you want to make these changes and you want to feel healthier, you want to have more energy. Well, what are some actions that can support that? Is it setting a bedtime and sticking to it? Is it getting more movement throughout the day? Is it actually putting your work away and going to take a lunch break, going for a walk, meal prepping your food, saying no to people that are asking things of you when ultimately like your energy is not high enough to give to them as well as yourself. And remember, you need to come first, or again, you're planning yourself without being rooted. And I want you to find that place to feel grounded in who you are. The other reminder, like I said in the very beginning, was we can get really caught up in thinking, oh, I really want this big goal and this is really what I want to achieve. And like all we focus on is the fruit. We're focused on the end of the goal. The end goal is to bear the fruit, to feel amazing, to be your highest self. And I love that. And I want you to get clear on what that looks like. But we have got to be grounded and rooted in good soil. And the other reminder is roots may not be the biggest part of the tree. So, people look at a tree, they're not always thinking about the roots. However, they are one of the most important components to keep a tree grounded and thriving. That is what keeps a tree continuing to grow, is continuing with those roots. And it's not, the other thing to remember is it's not like you set these roots down and you're like, okay, I've checked off all the boxes, I'm doing all those things that I'm supposed to be doing, and then you just keep moving up. No, you continue to get even more rooted. Think about a tree. Those roots, the older the tree becomes, the deeper those roots get. So you're continuing to work on those small things, the behind the scenes of your life. You're continuing to work on yourself even as you grow. So even when you get to this point, and I'll tell you this from a personal perspective, even when you get to a point where you do feel confident in your skin and you have a great relationship with food and exercise and you're doing really amazing daily habits and it's become long-term lifestyle change, that does not mean that I'm just done, right? That doesn't mean I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to ever try this anymore. I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need to work on myself anymore. Because the truth is we're constantly growing and expanding. And as we're growing and expanding, those roots are continuing to grow and get deeper and deeper and deeper. And so don't be afraid of that. Just embrace it. Embrace the fact that we are always going to be growing, and it can be messy and it can get tangled, but as long as you stay grounded in who you are and the why behind what you want to achieve, you won't be wrong. And I think that can be scary for a lot of people because there's a lot of unknown that we don't understand when it comes to our growth and our journey. But instead of getting so stuck on not knowing every single detail, get laser focused on those small seeds that you need to start planting. Get laser focused on your environment and things that you do and don't accept as a part of that environment. And then you will start to have that growth. And the truth is, if you sat there and tried to watch a tree grow or tried to watch your seed grow, you'd go crazy, right? You would be like, why is this not growing yet? Why? What's wrong? This is crazy. But if you remind yourself, hey, I have created an amazing soil, an amazing environment. I am planting the right seeds for my life and for what I want to achieve. Instead of watching them grow, I'm going to trust that I'm doing everything I need to do, and I'm going to release the outcome and let it happen. And that is the most beautiful place you can be, is being able to trust and know that you're growing, but you don't have to hold on to it out of this control or this fear, because that holding on to control and fear is going to strangle that growth that you're trying to achieve. And it's something that a lot of people struggle with, is they get to this point of feeling like, I want to control every single detail. But you have to release that. Trust yourself. Trust that you've planted the seeds that need to happen, and just grow. You got this. I'm so glad you listened to this episode, because it really comes from a place where I have had my own growth experience. I'm helping so many clients right now that are getting to that point. And the other thing is, I have my BCB alumni I reach out to, and a year later, they're still doing all the things in their lifestyle change and their healthy habits, but they're leveling up. They're doing new things. They're starting YouTube channels. They're starting their own small business. They're putting themselves out there and becoming a fitness instructor, or getting their training certification, or whatever it is. They're doing the things that are confidently uncomfortable, but they're continuing to grow. So just because they achieved so many amazing things throughout the 12 weeks of my program, they didn't stop there. And that's one of the most beautiful things that I try and tell people when it comes to Body Confident Blueprint, is it's not just investing in this like 90-day shred program where you're going to get super fit. No, it's about planting these seeds, feeling grounded in who you are, and letting go of comparison and fear of the unknown, so that you can finally thrive and become exactly who you were created to be. And then when you become that tree, when you start to bear fruit, it feels amazing, but then you also recognize and know and love that you're not done growing yet. Whew. That's an amazing feeling. And that is the feeling I want women to feel. I want everyone to feel this way, but I work with women specifically because I know what it's like to feel like you need to stay small. I know what it's like to constantly be trying to put seeds everywhere in your life, but ultimately it was the environment that you needed to check yourself on. And so I want you to take some time with yourself today, reflect on what that looks like in your life. And again, like I said, you can have the big picture, you can have the dreams, you can have the vision for your ultimate reality, for your highest self, for your most confident self, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to break it down into small, manageable changes full of big intention. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Like I said, Body Confident Blueprint is open for enrollment. It is March of 2021. I only open enrollment 3 to 4 times a year because I care so much about this program and the people that join it. I want to make sure I'm pouring my all into them as they're going through the 12-week period. So make sure that you click the link to apply, and it's jgofitlife.com/BCB. The application takes like 5 minutes, and I will tell you one thing that I'm going to challenge you with. Most people will click that link, they'll start it, and by the second question, they doubt themselves and they don't finish filling it out. It's a 5-question application, but I would say 60% of people will not finish it. And I don't want you to be a part of that 60%. I want you to be a part of the 40 that finishes the application, because they trust that whether this is or isn't the best next step, it's great to make that change and that intention towards, I don't know if this is it, but I'm sure going to try. So fill out that application, give yourself 5 minutes to prioritize, make sure this is good for you. I'll be reading the applications personally, and then I will get on a discovery call, answer all your questions, and make very certain that it is a great fit for both of us. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys next time. P.S. If you think of anyone that would benefit from this, share this episode to them. You can also screenshot right now, take a little click, and share this episode. Tag me at Confidently Uncomfortable, at JGoFitLife, either or, and I will be sure to share. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from the episode. If the metaphor was a little too much, or if you loved it like I did, I'd love to hear from you. Give me your feedback, and be sure to leave a review. Thanks, y'all. Thanks again for listening to Confidently Uncomfortable. I love being able to connect with you here and honestly don't want it to end. So head over to my Facebook group, Body Confident Blueprint, and be sure to follow me on Insta at JGoFitLife. Also, if you're ready to get real confidently uncomfortable, go leave this podcast a 5-star review and email me the review screenshot, support@jgofit360.com, for a chance to win a free 30-minute fitness audit and goal setting session. I appreciate your support. See you next time.